The lights in the ship's gym flickered as Lieutenant Jack Morrison threw another punch at the heavy bag. Sweat dripped down his face, but he kept hitting the bag harder and harder. Each punch was like hitting the memories that wouldn't leave. Him alone. 6 months ago, he was Captain Jack Morrison. People respected him. They followed his orders without question. Now he was just Lieutenant Morrison, and most people looked away when he walked past them in the hallways. The gym was empty. Except for Jack, it was 3 in the morning, ship time. Most of the crew was sleeping, but Jack couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the faces of those 12 children trapped under the rocks. He saw their scared eyes looking up at him through the cracks in the broken shelter. Jack stopped punching and leaned against the bag. His hands were shaking, not from being tired, but from anger. The Federation court said he was reckless. They said he put lives at risk. They said he broke the rules and got good soldiers killed, but those 12 children were alive. They were safe with their families now. Wasn't that worth something? A gym door opened with a soft hiss. Jack turned around and saw Lieutenant Sam Parker walking in. Sam was young, maybe 25, with bright blue eyes and sandy hair. He always looked like he was ready to save the world. "Sir," Sam said, standing straight like he was talking to a superior officer. "Don't call me sir," Jack said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "We're the same rank now, remember?" Sam's face turned red. "Sorry, you're still Captain Morrison to me," Jack shook his head. "That man is gone, Sam. The Federation made sure of that." Sam walked closer, looking around to make sure they were alone. "What you did on Kepler 7 was right. Everyone knows it was right. Everyone except the people who make the decisions," Jack said. He started unwrapping the tape from his hands. "You shouldn't be here, Sam. People will think you're like me." "Maybe. I want to be like you," Sam said. "Maybe I think the Federation needs more officers who care about saving lives instead of following stupid rules." Jack looked at the young officer. Sam reminded him of himself 10 years ago, when he still believed the system would always do the right thing. "You have a good career ahead of you, Sam. Don't throw it away because of me." "But sir, Jack," Sam said, "what you did was heroic. You saved those kids." "And I got 3 alien soldiers killed doing it," Jack said. His voice was quiet, but Sam could hear the pain in it. "Their families will never see them again because I decided to play hero." Sam wanted to argue, but he could see the hurt in Jack's eyes. The older man had been carrying this guilt for months, and it was eating him alive. "The equipment you lost," Sam said carefully, "it was just machines. Those children were real people, with real families." Try telling that to the Saurian High Command," Jack said. "Try telling that to Zextai. He reminds me every day that humans are too emotional to be trusted with important decisions." As if hearing his name, the gym door opened again. Zextai walked in, his reptilian scales glinting under the lights. He was tall, maybe 7 feet, with yellow eyes that seemed to look right through people. His uniform was perfect, like always. "How predictable," Zextai said in his cold voice. "The disgraced human is here, hitting things like a primitive animal." Jack's jaw tightened, but he didn't say anything. Sam stepped forward, but Jack held up a hand to stop him. "Something you need, Zextai?" Jack asked. The Saurian officer smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "I was reviewing the duty roster. It seems you are assigned to waste management tomorrow. How fitting for someone who wasted so many resources." "That's enough," Sam said, his voice angry. Zextai turned his cold eyes to Sam. The young human defends his fallen hero. "Tell me, Lieutenant Parker, do you also plan to disobey orders when emotion overcomes your tiny brain?" Jack put his hand on Sam's shoulder. "Don't," he said quietly. "He's not worth it." "Listen to your disgraced leader," Zextai said. "He knows his place now, at the bottom, where emotional humans belong." The Saurian turned and walked toward the door, but he stopped and looked back. "Oh, Morrison, Commander Hayes wants to see you in her office at 0800 hours. Try not to break any more rules on your way there." After Zextai left, Sam's face was red with anger. "How can you just stand there and let him talk to you like that?" Jack finished unwrapping his hands and picked up his towel. Because he's right, Sam. I did waste resources. I did get people killed. Maybe I do belong at the bottom. No, Sam said firmly. You belong in command. You're the best tactical officer. On this ship, everyone knows it. The best tactical officer wouldn't have lost 3 soldiers to save 12 civilians, Jack said. The best tactical officer would have followed orders and retreated, Sam shook his head. The best tactical officer would have done exactly what you did. Those kids would be dead if you hadn't acted. Jack looked at Sam for a long moment. The young man's faith in him was touching, but it was also dangerous. You need to stay away from me, Sam. I'm serious. Your career is more important than my reputation. My career doesn't matter if I can't respect the man in the mirror, Sam said, before Jack could respond. The ship's speakers crackled to life. All senior officers report to the bridge immediately. This is a priority 1 alert. All senior officers to the bridge. Jack and Sam looked at each other. Priority 1 meant emergency. It meant something big was happening. I have to go, Jack said. You're not senior staff anymore, Sam reminded him. Jack was already walking toward the door. No, but I'm still an officer. And when people are in trouble, that's all that matters. They ran through the ship's corridors together. Other officers were heading to the bridge too, their faces serious. Jack could hear people talking in worried voices. When they reached the bridge, Jack saw Commander Lisa Hayes standing at the center console. She was a strong woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had been Jack's mentor when he first joined the Federation, and she was the only senior officer who still treated him with respect. Morrison, she called when she saw him. I'm glad you're here? Zextai was already at his station, along with other department heads. He looked annoyed that Jack was on the bridge. What's the situation, Commander? Jack asked. Hayes touched a button, and the main screen showed a star map. A red dot was blinking near the edge of Federation space. We received a distress signal. From Kepler 442b, Hayes said. It's a research colony studying ancient ruins. The signal cut off 37 minutes ago. Jack studied the map. Kepler 442b was far from any military bases. If something happened there, help would be hours away. What kind of distress signal? Jack asked. Hayes' face was grim. The kind that says everyone is about to die. The bridge was quiet except for the hum of the ship's engines. Jack could feel everyone looking at him, waiting to see what the disgraced officer would do. He looked at the blinking red dot on the screen and thought. About 12 children trapped under rocks, he thought about. The choices that had destroyed his career and the lives he had saved. How long until we reach the colony? Jack asked. 6 hours at maximum speed, Hayes said. Jack nodded. Somewhere out there, people were in danger. Maybe he wasn't a captain anymore, but he was still a human being. And human beings didn't abandon people who needed help. Then we better get moving, Jack said. The ship turned toward the red dot, racing through space toward whatever danger waited at Kepler 442b. Jack Morrison might be a disgraced officer, but he was about to face the biggest test of his life. The bridge was buzzing with activity as more information came in about Kepler 442b. Jack stood near the back, trying to stay out of the way while officers ran around him. He wasn't supposed to be here, but Commander Hayes hadn't told him to leave. Commander, the communications officer called out. We're getting fragments of the original distress signal. It's not good? Hayes walked over to the communications station, put it through the speakers. The bridge filled with static. Then a woman's voice came through, broken and full of fear. This is Dr. Elena Rodriguez at Research Station Alpha. We are under attack by unknown hostiles. They came from the ruins. God help us. They came from the ruins. Our weapons are useless. They're eating everything. The colonists are... Oh no, they're in the building. Send help. Send everyone you can. The creatures are... The transmission. Cut to static. The bridge was silent for a moment. Jack could see the fear in people's eyes. Whatever was happening on Kepler 442b, it was bad. Sir, the sensor officer said to Hayes, we're detecting multiple Federation ships heading toward the colony. It looks like Fleet Command is sending a rescue force. Hayes nodded. Good. How many ships? 15, including 3 heavy cruisers. Admiral Ray Collins is leading the fleet. Jack knew Admiral Collins. He was a good officer, smart and careful. If Collins was leading the rescue, they had a real chance of saving the colonists. ETA to the colony? Hayes asked. 4 hours. 30 minutes, the navigation officer replied. Sextai moved to the center of the bridge. Commander Hayes, I recommend we contact Admiral Collins and offer our tactical support. The Saurian Empire has extensive experience with hostile alien encounters. Hayes looked at her tactical display. Good idea. Open a channel to the admirals. Flagship, the main screen flickered, then showed the bridge of a massive Federation battleship. Admiral Collins appeared on screen. He was an older man with white hair and tired eyes. Jack had served under him once, back when Collins was just a captain. Commander Hayes, Collins said. I'm glad to see the Valiant joining the rescue force. Admiral, Hayes replied. We're at your service. What can you tell us about the situation? Collins' face was grim. Not much. The colony has been studying ancient ruins for 2 years. Yesterday they found something in the deepest chambers. 6 hours later they sent the distress signal you heard. What kind of something? Hayes asked. We don't know. But whatever it was, it woke up things that should have stayed sleeping. Jack stepped forward without thinking. Admiral, have you reviewed the historical records about similar incidents? Collins looked surprised to see Jack. Morrison? I heard about your ... situation. What are you doing here? Before Jack could answer, Zextai interrupted. The disgraced human has no authority to speak in this briefing. Collins' eyes narrowed. I didn't ask for your opinion, Zextai. Morrison, you were saying? Jack felt everyone on the bridge looking at him. This was his chance to contribute, to maybe help save lives. Sir, there have been 3 similar incidents in the past 50 years. Ancient sites that suddenly became active. In each case, the creatures that emerged were highly adaptive. Adaptive how? Collins asked. They learned from every attack. Standard Federation tactics became useless after the first few encounters. The creatures evolved countermeasures faster than we could adapt. Zextai made a dismissive sound. Typical human fear-mongering? The Federation has the finest military technology in the galaxy. No primitive creatures can stand against our combined might. Jack looked directly at the Saurian officer. Tell that to the crew of the Intrepid. Or the Constellation, or the New Horizons. 3 ships, total crew of 800. All dead because they used standard tactics against adaptive enemies. Collins leaned forward on the screen. What would you recommend, Morrison? Jack felt his heart racing. This was the first time in months that anyone had asked for his tactical opinion. Hit them fast and hard with everything we have. Don't give them time to adapt. And if that doesn't work, we need to be ready to try something completely different. Something different like what? Collins asked. I don't know yet, sir. But humans are good at thinking outside the box when we have to. Zextai stepped forward. Admiral, I must protest. This human's reckless thinking is exactly why he was demoted. We should follow established Federation protocols. Collins was quiet for a moment, thinking. I appreciate both viewpoints. We'll stick to standard attack patterns for now. All ships are to maintain formation and prepare for coordinated assault. Jack felt his shoulders drop. They were going to do exactly what every other Federation force had done. They were going to fail. Admiral, Jack said, with respect, if you use standard tactics, you're going to lose ships. A lot of ships, Collins' face hardened. I understand your concerns, Morrison, but I have my orders and I follow them. Unlike some people, the screen went dark. Jack felt like he had been punched in the stomach. Even Collins, who had once trusted his judgment, now saw him as a reckless troublemaker. Hayes put her hand on Jack's shoulder. You tried, she said quietly. It won't matter, Jack said. They're going to attack with overwhelming force and the creatures will adapt. Then they'll pick off the ships one by one. You don't know that? Hayes said. Yes, I do. Because I've studied every encounter with adaptive hostiles in the past century. The pattern is always the same. First contact, heavy casualties, adaptation, total defeat? Sam Parker, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. What if you're wrong? What if the Admiral's plan works? Jack looked at the young officer. Then I'll be the happiest man in the galaxy. But if I'm right, a lot of good people are going to die. The next few hours passed slowly. The Valiant joined the rescue fleet, and Jack watched from the bridge as 15 Federation ships prepared for battle. It was an impressive sight. The ships were powerful, their crews were skilled, and their weapons were state-of-the-art, but Jack felt sick to his stomach. Admiral Collins is opening a channel to all ships. The communications officer announced. Collins appeared on screen again, this time addressing the entire fleet. Attention all vessels. We are approaching Kepler 442b, long-range sensor show. The planet is still inhabited, but we're detecting massive energy signatures near the colony site. Jack studied the sensor readings on his console. The energy patterns were strange, unlike anything in the Federation database. Our mission is simple, Collins continued. We eliminate the hostile forces and rescue the colonists. All ships will attack in formation Delta 7. Heavy cruisers will provide covering fire while destroyers move in for close assault. Jack closed his eyes. Formation Delta 7 was right out of the Federation tactical manual. It was predictable, methodical, and exactly what an adaptive enemy would be expecting. Fleet will engage in 30 minutes, Collins said. All ships prepare for battle. The channel closed and the bridge crew began battle preparations. Jack stood there, feeling helpless. He knew what was about to happen, but no one would listen. To him, Jack, Hayes said quietly, I need you to monitor the tactical displays. If things go wrong, I want your opinion on alternatives. Jack nodded. At least someone still valued his judgment. 20-9 minutes later, the Federation fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Kepler 442b. What they saw made everyone on the bridge gasped. The planet was covered in a web of black, organic-looking structures. They pulsed with sickly green light and stretched from the colony site across hundreds of miles of terrain. In orbit, massive bioships moved in slow, hypnotic patterns. Dear God, Hayes whispered. Jack stared at the screen. The creatures had built an entire infrastructure in just one day. They weren't just adaptive. They were intelligent, organized, and incredibly fast. Admiral Collins to all ships, came the voice over the speakers. Target the largest bioship. All weapons, full. Power. The Federation fleet opened fire. Beams of energy and volleys of missiles streaked toward the alien vessel. For a moment, it looked like the attack was working. The bioship's hull was burning, pieces of it breaking off and floating away. Then the ship began to change. Its hull rippled and shifted, becoming reflective like a mirror. The next wave of Federation weapons bounced off harmlessly. Impossible, Zextai breathed. No, Jack said grimly. Predictable. The bioship fired back. Its weapons were unlike anything Jack had ever seen. Streams of green energy that seemed to bend space itself. 2 Federation destroyers were hit and simply vanished, not destroyed but erased from existence. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Collins shouted over the comm, but it was too late. The other bioships were adapting too, their hulls changing to match the first. Within minutes, the entire alien fleet was immune to Federation weapons. Sir, the weapons officer reported to Hayes, our shots are having no effect. The creatures are adapting faster than we can modify our weapons. Jack watched the battle unfold exactly as he had predicted. The Federation ships were brave, their crews skilled, but they were fighting an enemy that learned from every attack. Commander, Jack said to Hayes, we need to try something different, now. Hayes looked at him, then at the tactical display, showing 3 more Federation ships under attack. What do you recommend? Jack took a deep breath. We stop fighting like the Federation. We start fighting like humans. In the distance, another Federation ship exploded in a ball of fire. The bridge of the Valiant shook as another Federation ship exploded in the distance. Jack watched the tactical display with growing horror. 6 ships were gone already, and the alien bioships were getting stronger with each attack. Commander. Hayes, Admiral Collins' voice crackled over the comm. We're taking heavy casualties. Recommend immediate withdrawal. Hayes looked at Jack, who was studying the sensor readings. What are you thinking, Morrison? They're not just adapting to our weapons, Jack said. They're learning our movement patterns. Look at this. He pointed. To the display? Every time we fire, they predict where we'll be next. They're reading our tactical computers. Zextai pushed past Jack to look at the display. Impossible. Our encryption is unbreakable. Not to them, Jack said. They're not breaking the encryption. They're reading the patterns in how we think. Every Federation officer learns the same tactics. We're all predictable. Another explosion lit up the view screen. The heavy cruiser Thunderbolt was burning, its hull cracked open like an egg. Admiral, Hayes said into the comm, Morrison has an idea. Maybe we should listen. I'm listening, Collins replied, his voice tight with stress. Jack stepped forward. Sir, we need to stop fighting like the Federation. We need volunteers for a ground mission. Small team, no standard equipment, no predictable tactics. Ground mission? Collins sounded shocked. Morrison, those things will tear apart anyone who goes down there. Not if we don't fight them the way they expect, Jack said. The colony sent coordinates in their last transmission. Hidden bunker in the ancient ruins. There might be survivors, and they might know what we're really dealing with. Zextai shook his head. Another reckless plan from the disgraced human. You would send people to their deaths. People are dying up here too, Jack shot back. At least on the ground we might learn something useful. Hayes was quiet for a moment, then she activated her comm. Admiral, I'm authorizing a ground mission. Morrison will lead it. Commander, Collins said, you don't have the authority to authorize anything. I'm in command of this operation. And I'm in command of this ship, Hayes replied firmly. My people, my decision. Jack felt a surge of gratitude toward his former mentor. She was risking her career to give him a chance. Fine, Collins said. But Morrison, if you get my people killed down there, I'll have you court-martialed again. Understood, sir, Jack said. 20 minutes later, Jack stood in the shuttle bay with 4 volunteers. Staff Sergeant Tony Rivera was a big man with steady hands and calm eyes. He had served with Jack before and trusted his judgment. Corporal Amy Watson was small but tough, an expert with explosives who could turn anything into a weapon. Lieutenant Danny Foster was the best pilot on the ship, young and fearless behind the controls. The 4th volunteer surprised Jack. Dr. Karen Mitchell stepped forward, carrying a field medical kit and a portable scanner. Doc, this isn't a medical mission, Jack said. If those things are biological, you'll need someone who understands how they work, she replied. Besides, someone has to keep you idiots alive, Jack smiled. Karen had been his friend since they both joined the Federation. She was one of the few people who still believed in him after their court-martial. All right, people, Jack said. This is a stealth mission. We get in, find the survivors, figure out what these creatures want, and get out? No heroics, no unnecessary risks, Rivera raised an eyebrow. No heroics. Boss, we're flying into a planet full of monsters. That's pretty heroic already. You know what I mean? Jack said. We stick together, we watch each other's backs, and we don't take stupid chances. Watson checked her equipment one more time. What if we run into those things down there? Then we run, Jack said. We're not trying to win a war. We're trying to gather information. Foster was already in the pilot's seat running through the pre-flight checks. Shuttle's ready, boss. But I gotta warn you, those bioships are throwing up some kind of interference. Getting to the surface won't be easy. Nothing about this is easy, Jack said. That's why we're doing it instead of following the manual. The shuttle launched from the Valiant while the battle raged above them. Foster was a skilled pilot, weaving between energy blasts and debris from destroyed ships. The bioships seemed focused on the larger Federation vessels, barely noticing the small shuttle. There, Jack pointed to his scanner, the colony site. Take us down near those ruins. The planet's surface was worse than Jack had expected. The colony buildings were covered in black, organic growth that pulsed with sickly light. Strange creatures moved between the structures, some walking on two legs, others crawling on many. They all looked hungry. "Landing site is clear," Foster reported. "For now." The shuttle touched down behind a cluster of ancient stone pillars. Through the windows, Jack could see the ruins stretching into the distance. Whatever civilization had built them was long gone, but their structures still stood, covered in mysterious symbols and carvings. "Remember," Jack said as they prepared to leave the shuttle, "we're not Federation soldiers down here. We're just, people trying to survive. Think like humans, not like military officers." They stepped out onto the planet's surface. The air was thick and humid, filled with strange scents that made Jack's nose wrinkle. In the distance he could hear sounds that didn't belong on any civilized world. "This way," Jack said, checking his scanner. "The coordinates Dr. Rodriguez sent are about half a mile into the ruins." They moved carefully through the ancient structures. The creatures seemed to be everywhere, but they were focused on the colony buildings. Jack's team was able to avoid them by moving slowly and staying in the shadows. "Look at this," Dr. Mitchell said, stopping beside a wall covered in carvings. "These symbols. They're not just decorations, they're some kind of warning." Jack studied the carvings. They showed creatures that looked disturbingly similar to the bioships attacking the fleet above. "Warning about what? I think they're telling a story," Mitchell said, "about something that was locked away. Something that should never be freed." Watson pointed ahead. "There, that building. It doesn't look like the others." She was right. While the ancient ruins were made of stone, this building was different. It was built into the ground with a metal door that looked almost Federation standard. "That's got to be it," Jack said. "The bunker." They approached the door carefully. Rivera kept watch while Jack examined the entrance. There was a keypad, but also something else, a hand scanner. "Dr. Rodriguez must have set this up," Jack said. "Biometric lock. Can you bypass it?" Foster asked Dot before Jack could answer. The door opened on its own. A woman's voice came from inside. "Quickly, get in here before they see you." Jack hesitated. It could be a trap. But they had come too far to turn back now. "Go," he said to his team. "But stay alert." They entered the bunker and found themselves in a small chamber filled with frightened people. Men, women, and children from the colony were huddled together, their faces pale with terror. A woman with short brown hair and tired eyes stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Elena Rodriguez." "Thank God you're here. We've been hiding for almost 2 days." "How many survivors?" Jack asked. 47, Rodriguez replied, "out of 300 colonists." Jack felt sick. So many people dead, and for what? "Dr. Rodriguez," he said, "we need to know what happened." "What did you find in the ruins?" Rodriguez led them deeper into the bunker. The walls were covered with screens showing data and images. "We found a chamber," she said, "deep underground. It contained technology we'd never seen before, and something else." She pressed a button, and one of the screens showed a recording. Jack watched as colonists explored a vast underground chamber filled with strange machines and glowing crystals. "The machines were still active," Rodriguez continued. "They'd been running for millions of years, and they were containing something." "Containing what?" Dr. Mitchell asked. "The Devourers," Rodriguez said. "That's what the ancient texts called them. A species that consumes all organic matter. The machines were a prison, keeping them locked away." Jack felt his blood run cold. "And you opened the prison?" "We didn't mean to," Rodriguez said quickly. "We were just trying to study the technology. But when we activated the scanning equipment, it disrupted the containment field." Watson was looking at one of the screens. "Doc, look at this." "These readings show the creatures are still changing, still adapting." Dr. Mitchell studied the data. "This is incredible. They're not just adaptive. They're learning at a rate that should be impossible." "There's more," Rodriguez said. "The ancient texts talk about a weapon, something that could destroy the Devourers permanently. But it requires specific biological markers to activate. What kind of biological markers? Jack asked. Rodriguez looked at him strangely. Human DNA. The texts say humans are the only species that can control the weapon. Something about genetic compatibility with the original builders. Jack stared at her. You're saying humans are special? That we're the only ones who can stop these things? I'm saying that according to the texts, yes. But the weapon is in the deepest part of the ruins, the most dangerous area. Suddenly, alarms started blaring throughout the bunker. One of the survivors was watching the external cameras. They found us, he said. The creatures, they're coming. Jack looked at the screens and saw dozens of the alien monsters approaching the bunker. The ground shook as the creatures pounded against the bunker door. Dr. Rodriguez led Jack and his team through a narrow tunnel that connected to the ancient ruins below. Behind them, they could hear the metal door starting to bend and crack. This tunnel leads directly to the main chamber, Rodriguez said, breathing hard as they ran. But there's something you need to know about the weapon. What? Jack asked, helping an elderly colonist keep up with the group. It's not just a weapon, it's a test. The ancient builders wanted to make sure that whoever used it was worthy. The machine will judge you, Watson looked back over her shoulder. Judge us how? I don't know, Rodriguez admitted. The texts weren't clear, but they said the weapon would only work for someone with true courage and honor, Rivera snorted. Great, a weapon that thinks it's a philosopher. They reached the end of the tunnel and found themselves in a vast underground chamber. Jack had never seen anything like it. The walls stretched up into darkness, covered in glowing symbols that pulsed with blue light. In the center of the chamber stood a massive structure that looked part machine, part temple. There, Rodriguez pointed. That's the control center for the weapon system. Jack studied the structure. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Ancient technology beyond human understanding, but somehow it felt familiar, like he was meant to be here. Dr. Rodriguez, said Dr. Ben Walsh, one of the surviving archaeologists. The creatures are in the tunnel. They'll be here in minutes. Jack turned to his team. All right, people. We need to get the civilians to safety while I figure out how to work this thing. You're not going alone, Dr. Mitchell said firmly. Karenz. Right, Rivera added. We stick together, remember? Jack wanted to argue, but there wasn't time. The creatures were getting closer, and he could hear their alien sounds echoing through the tunnel. Fine, he said. But stay behind me and do exactly what I say. They approached the ancient structure. As they got closer, Jack could see that it wasn't just a machine. It was alive somehow, pulsing with energy that seemed to respond to their presence. Major Kate Phillips, a Marine officer who had been leading the civilian defense, joined them. Morrison, I've got 37 colonists. Here, including 12 children. If this doesn't work, what's our backup plan? Jack looked at the frightened faces around him. Men, women, and children who were counting on him to save them, just like before. We make it work, Major. There is no backup plan. A voice suddenly filled the chamber, speaking in perfect English but with an accent Jack had never heard before. Who seeks to wield the power of the architects? Everyone froze. The voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. Jack stepped forward. I'm Lieutenant Jack Morrison, Federation Marine Corps. We need your weapon to stop the Devourers. One who has fallen from grace seeks to command the ultimate power? The voice asked. There was something almost amused about it. How interesting. Jack felt his face burn with shame. Even an ancient alien machine knew about his disgrace. I am the architect, the voice continued. Guardian of this weapon for 10 million years. I have waited for one worthy to claim it. Look, Jack said, I know I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. But people are going to die if we don't stop those creatures. Mistakes? The architect's voice was curious now. Tell me about these mistakes, fallen one? Jack looked back at his team, at the frightened colonists. This wasn't the time for confession, but if it would help save lives. 6 months ago, I disobeyed orders to save 12 children, Jack said. 3 alien soldiers died because of my decision. The Federation court-martialed me and took away my rank. And do you regret this decision? The architect asked. Jack thought about those children's faces, about their families who still had them because of what he did. No, he said firmly. I regret that people died, but I don't regret saving those kids. The chamber fell silent except for the distant sounds of the creatures getting closer. Interesting, the architect said finally. Most who seek power claim to be without fault. You admit your failures but stand by your choices. Why? Because sometimes the right thing isn't the safe thing, Jack said. Sometimes you have to risk everything to save what matters most. Dr. Mitchell stepped forward. The Devourers are almost here. Can you please just tell us how to stop them? The weapon cannot be simply activated, the architect explained. It requires a choice, a sacrifice. One must remain to guide the weapon manually while the others escape. Jack felt his heart sink. Of course there was a catch. There always was. What kind of sacrifice? Major Phillips asked. The weapon draws its power from biological energy, the architect said. The operator will not survive the process. Jack looked at his team. He could see the understanding in their eyes. Someone would have to die to save everyone else. I'll do it, Jack said immediately. No, Rivera said just as quickly. Boss, you've got the most tactical experience. You need to get these people out of here. I'll stay. Like hell, Watson added. I'm the explosives expert. If something goes wrong with the weapon, I'm the one who can fix it. Dr. Mitchell shook her head. If this is biological technology, it needs a doctor who understands how living systems work. Jack felt a surge of pride in his team. They were all willing to die to save the others. This was what being human meant. This was why they deserved to survive. The choice is not yours alone to make, the architect interrupted. The weapon will choose its operator based on worthiness. Approach the control center. Jack walked toward the glowing structure at the center of the chamber. As he got closer, he could feel something scanning him, looking into his mind and heart. Images flashed before his eyes. The 12 children he had saved. The 3 soldiers who had died. Every decision he had ever made. Every life he had touched. You carry great guilt, the architect observed. But also great love. You value the lives of others above your own glory. Glory doesn't matter, Jack said. People matter. And yet you were punished for this belief. Your own people cast you down for showing mercy. Jack thought about the court-martial, about the months of shame and ridicule. They were wrong, he said quietly. But that doesn't mean I stopped trying to do what's right. The sound of the creatures was getting louder. They would be in the chamber soon. Your worthiness is complicated, the architect said. You have the courage to make hard choices. You have the wisdom to value life over rules. But do you have the strength to bear the ultimate burden? What burden? Jack asked. The knowledge that your sacrifice will save millions, but your own people will never. No. You will die here, forgotten and dishonored, while others take credit for your actions. Jack looked back at the colonists, at his team, at all the innocent people who would die if he didn't act. I don't care about credit, he said. I care about them. The architect was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice was softer, almost respectful. I have tested many species over the millennia. Most sought power for conquest. Others for revenge. You are the first to seek it purely for protection of others. The control center began to glow brighter. Ancient mechanisms started moving, preparing the weapon system. But know this, Jack Morrison, the architect continued. This choice cannot be undone. Once you begin the activation sequence, you cannot stop. Are you certain this is your path? Jack heard the creatures break into the chamber behind them. Alien roars filled the air as the Devourers poured through the tunnel entrance. There were dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all heading straight for the group of humans. Cover the civilians! Jack shouted to his team. Rivera and Phillips opened fire, but their weapons barely slowed the creatures down. More kept coming, adapting to their attacks. Jack put his hands on the control panel. It felt warm, alive, responding to his touch. I'm certain, he said to the architect. Then let us begin, the ancient voice replied. But know that your sacrifice will not be forgotten by all. I will remember Jack Morrison, the human who chose honor over glory. The weapon system activated with a sound like thunder. Energy coursed through Jack's body as the ancient machine prepared to fire. He could feel the power building, could sense the weapon targeting every devourer on the planet, and in orbit above, but he could also feel his life force being drained away. The architect was right. This would kill him. Jack looked back one more time at his team, at the people he was saving. Dr. Mitchell was crying, but she was still firing her weapon. Rivera was shouting orders to the Marines. Watson was setting charges to slow down the creatures. They were all so brave. They all deserved to live. Fire the weapon, Jack said. The ancient machine responded, preparing to unleash a power that had been sleeping for 10 million years. Jack Morrison, the disgraced Marine who had lost everything for saving 12 children, was about to save the entire galaxy. And nobody would ever know his name. The weapon system hummed with power as energy flowed through Jack's body. He could feel the ancient technology reading his mind, learning how humans thought and fought. The pain was incredible, but he held on. Too many lives depended on him. Target acquired, the architect's voice echoed through the chamber. Old devourer life forms identified. Weapon charging to full power. Behind Jack, his team was still fighting. The creatures kept coming, but something was different now. They seemed confused, less coordinated than before. The weapon was already affecting them. "Boss!" Rivera shouted over the gunfire. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. These things are slowing down." Jack gritted his teeth as more energy coursed through him. He could feel his strength leaving his body, but the weapon was almost ready. "How long until we can fire?" 30 seconds, the architect replied. "But I must warn you. The weapon's power will destroy the devourers completely, but the energy release will also seal this chamber forever. Your team must leave now." "You heard him," Jack called to his people. "Get everyone out of here." "We're not leaving you," Dr. Mitchell said, tears streaming down her face. "That's an order," Jack said firmly. "Get those civilians to safety." Major Phillips was already organizing the evacuation. All colonists moved to the tunnel. "Marines, provide cover," but Rivera shook his head. "Sir, with respect, you're not my commanding officer anymore." "I choose to stay." "Me too," Watson added. "If you're going down, we're going down together." Foster nodded from where he was helping wounded colonists. "That's what humans do. We stick together." Jack felt his heart breaking. These brave people were willing to die just to keep him company. "Please," he said, "don't do this. Your families need you." "And the galaxy needs you to fire that weapon," Dr. Mitchell said. "So we're staying to make sure nothing stops you." The architect's voice was gentler now. "Your species continues to surprise me, Jack Morrison. Even facing certain death, they choose loyalty over survival?" "That's what makes us human," Jack said. The weapon reached full charge. Jack could feel the massive power waiting to be unleashed. Above them, through sensors he didn't understand, he could sense the Devourer fleet in orbit. Hundreds of bioships that had been tearing apart the Federation forces. "Weapon ready," the architect announced. "Shall I fire?" Jack looked one last time at his team. They were still fighting, still protecting the colonists who were escaping through the tunnel. "Do it!" The ancient weapon fired. Energy beyond human understanding erupted from the chamber. It shot through the planet's crust, through the atmosphere, and into space. Every devourer on the planet simply vanished, turned into harmless particles. In orbit, the bioships stopped moving and began to dissolve. Jack felt the weapon's power flowing through him, but something was wrong. He should have been dead by now, but he was still conscious, still alive. "Architect," he gasped. "What's happening? Why am I not dead?" "Because," the ancient voice said, "I lied." Jack stared at the control panel. "You what?" "The weapon does not require a life force to operate. It requires a will. A determination to use ultimate power only for protection, never for conquest. You have proven yourself worthy not by dying, but by being willing to die for others." Around the chamber, the fighting had stopped. The devourers were gone. Jack's team was looking around in amazement, hardly believing they were still alive. But you said ... Jack began. I said many things, most were true. But the final test was not your willingness to die. It was your willingness to sacrifice everything, your reputation, your rank, your life to save others. You have passed that test many times. Jack stepped back from the control panel, weak but alive. Dr. Mitchell ran to him and caught him as he stumbled. Easy there, hero, she said with a smile. You've had a rough day. Are they really gone? Watson asked, looking around the chamber. All of them? All of them, the architect confirmed. The weapon has destroyed every devourer in this system, and sealed the technology so it cannot be misused. The threat is ended. Rivera was helping the last of the colonists through the tunnel. What about the Federation fleet? Are they okay? Jack activated his communicator. Admiral Collins, this is Morrison. Do you copy? Collins' voice came through, filled with disbelief. Morrison? What happened down there? All the alien ships just stopped, then they fell apart. The threat has been neutralized, sir. All devourers are destroyed. How? What did you do? Jack looked around at his team, at the ancient chamber, at the weapon that had saved them all. We did what humans do best. Sir, we found another way. 3 hours later, Jack stood on the bridge of Admiral Collins' flagship. The rescue operation was complete. All surviving colonists had been evacuated, and the Federation fleet was preparing to return home. Morrison, Collins said, I owe you an apology. Your tactical analysis was correct. If we had followed standard procedures, we would have lost the entire fleet. Thank you, sir, Jack said quietly. Collins walked over to a window showing the planet below. The Federation Council is very interested in your report. They want to understand how you were able to defeat an enemy that our best technology couldn't touch. It wasn't about technology, Admiral. It was about thinking differently. Being willing to take risks that the manual says are stupid. Collins nodded slowly. The same kind of risks you took to save those 12 children? Jack looked at him in surprise. Sir? I've been reviewing your court-martial file, Collins said. The official record says you disobeyed orders and cost lives. But the real story is that you saved children when everyone else was ready to abandon them. 3 soldiers still died because of my decision, Jack said. 3 soldiers died fighting to save innocent lives, Collins corrected. That's what soldiers are supposed to do. The Federation forgot that for a while, but recent events have reminded us. Admiral Collins turned to face Jack directly. The Federation Council has asked me to offer you a choice. You can return to your current rank and continue serving as Lieutenant Morrison, or you can accept a promotion to Colonel and take command of a new division we're creating. What kind of division? Jack asked. Human Tactical Innovation. Your job would be to train Federation officers in unconventional warfare, teaching them to think like humans instead of like computers. Jack was quiet for a moment. It was everything he had ever wanted. Command, respect, the chance to make a real difference. What about my court-martial? He asked. Overturned? Collins said. Your actions on Kepler 442b prove that your tactical judgment is sound. The Federation needs officers who can think outside the regulations. Jack looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there were more threats, more people who would need saving. And maybe, just maybe, he could teach others to be ready for them. I accept, he said. 6 months later, Colonel Jack Morrison stood in a training facility on Earth, watching mixed crews of humans and aliens practice unconventional tactics. They were learning to fight with creativity instead of just following orders. Lieutenant Sam Parker approached him. Sir, the new recruits are ready for advanced training, Jack smiled. Sam had been promoted too, and was now his second in command. How are they doing? Better than expected. Even the Saurian officers are starting to understand human tactics, Jack laughed. How's Zextai handling that? He requested transfer to your division last week, Sam said with a grin. He wants to learn what he calls honorable unpredictability. Jack watched as human and alien officers worked together, sharing ideas and learning from each other. This was what the Federation was supposed to be about. Not rigid rules and blind obedience, but cooperation and understanding. Dr. Mitchell walked up to them, carrying a datapad. Jack, you've got a message from Admiral Collins. 3 more star systems want human tactical innovation training programs. Looks like business is good, Jack said. The best part, she said, is that they're specifically requesting the officer. Who saved the galaxy by breaking the rules? Jack shook his head. I didn't save the galaxy, we did, all of us together. That's what makes you a good leader, Sam said. You never take credit for the victories, but you always take responsibility for the failures. Jack thought about the children he had saved. The colonists on Kepler 442b, all the people who were alive because sometimes the right choice wasn't the safe choice. That's what humans do, he said. We take care of each other. As the sun set over the training facility, Jack Morrison watched his students practicing the tactics that would keep them alive in an uncertain galaxy. He was no longer the disgraced officer who had lost everything for doing what was right. He was the man who had found his honor again, by never giving up on it in the first place. And across the Federation, when the impossible became necessary, they called the humans.